What's up everyone, April here. Today I'm bringing back Power Platform News Rewind to summarize some of the top announcements from the Microsoft Power Platform Conference. So let's dig in. The conference kicked off with a great keynote from Charles Lamanna, and he featured a series of demos from the product team. The first demo was by Emma Cooper, and she showed the new Power Apps Copilot control for end users. Now, this Copilot control has been in preview for a little bit now, but they announced some big updates to it to make it even better. Now, the intention of this is to give you a way to embed a Copilot inside of your Power App and bind that to your data so that your users can ask questions about the data using generative AI. So how it traditionally works is you bind it to your data source, whether it be a Dataverse table, SharePoint list, whatever it is, and users can ask a bunch of questions about that natively in your app. What they announced, though, at the Power Platform Conference was new functionality for that control that lets you take it even further. So rather than just binding it to a single data source, now we have the option to bind it to up to 4 different websites. So this is huge. It's actually leveraging Power Virtual Agents behind the scenes. So I actually have a video about how Power Virtual Agents works with its generative answers, which lets you bind that to a data source, and then you can answer questions with GPT based off of your data. So same concept here. Now in this Copilot control for Power Apps, you point it to your different websites. It can use generative AI to search through the information on your website and answer questions about that, along with whatever data source you have too. And I think this Copilot control is going to be huge for how we design our Power Apps, Canvas apps going forward. We can kind of rethink how we're doing things right now with maybe some complex filtering, sorting, and all of that. And maybe we're even doing some summation and totals, and really use Copilot instead, giving our users a different way to interact with their applications. So this is definitely something that I would give a try and keep your eye on. The next big portion of the keynote was all about Power Automate. They walked through a demo of creating a flow with Power Automate Copilot, which they announced is now generally available. But by far, the biggest applause was related to the new Power Automate Designer experience. This is the first major refresh in the designer experience since the product was released. Obviously, the Copilot stuff that they showed was great, and they shared some really cool stats about Copilot usage. Those who use Copilot to create their flows are actually 50% more likely to use that flow in production than those who don't. So it really is truly helping a lot of people build flows quickly, easily, and get those into production. So that in and of itself is huge, but this new designer experience that comes along with the GA of Copilot is even bigger and got the biggest applause, because what does it give us? 2 things that we have been wanting for a long time. 1, the ability to easily zoom in and zoom out of our flows and to pan and scroll across the screen. Because I know I can't be the only one that has built some really long, complex flows in Power Automate and has really struggled navigating and going through that flow with the old interface. So this ability to zoom in, zoom out, and pan across was huge. Now, what's the other thing we've been wanting in the designer experience for a while? Can anyone say expression box? Yes, we got a bigger expression editing box as well with this new designer experience, which got roaring applause at the keynote. And this wasn't announced at the keynote, but rather in another session on Power Automate that we had with some people from the product team. And we're getting versioning for Power Automate as well. So that will begin rolling out for our flows that we're using in Dataverse Solutions. So now we'll be able to have drafts of our flows and roll back to previous versions. Now that's something we've had in Power Apps for a while, but it's been a long time coming for our flows. And I'm so excited to see that roll out soon. Now, speaking of things that have been a long time coming, being able to manage the Power Platform at scale when you're rolling it out is huge. And the problem of the default environment has been there since day one. Anyone that's rolled out the Power Platform at scale has had to face the reality of users creating tons of solutions in the default environment. But now we have a solution to help with that with default environment routing. This is really going to help you if you have struggles with users testing stuff out in your default environment rather than their free developer environments. Because that's what developer environments are for, to test things out before you're ready to roll them out. So this default environment routing gives your admins an easy way to manage the routing of environments when people create solutions. So with this new feature, once you do enable personal developer environments, you can go into your environment routing preview feature and simply toggle that to on, and it will automatically route people to use their developer environment. Another thing at the conference that they were really driving is the new modern experiences for Power Apps. They announced that they're going to introduce a new theming engine for Power Apps that'll generate a color ramp for you to use in your applications. And the good part is it will not only work with modern controls, but classic controls as well. And modern controls is really something that they were trying to drive, I think, in all the Power Apps sessions, because that's a big investment area for them. So they showcased a few new modern controls that they built, highlighted how they're all responsive here. So we have a new table control that you bind into your Dataverse tables to be able to see your data in a tabular format. And they have different controls they released as well for header and forums, along with the 20 modern controls that have already been there. So I suspect we'll see more and more of these modern, fluent UI controls to use in our Power Apps to make our designs look even better. There's just too many great Power Apps announcements to share. Another one they talked about at the conference was Canvas app support for offline. This one is big. So we've been able to do offline in Canvas apps, but it's a lot of work. This is kind of a new easy button for supporting offline if you're using Dataverse in your Canvas apps. So now in your Dataverse table, you just go into the properties, expand out advanced options, and you'll see this new option for can be taken offline. You simply enable that at your table level for any table that you're using inside of your Canvas app that you want to be available offline, and you're good to go. So you'll see we're not connected to the internet here at all, and we'll try to run our Power App and see if it works with this new offline capability. So it's letting us know that we are currently offline. But we can open up our blog post application here and everything will load up. So yet another reason, if we needed more reasons, to use Dataverse, because offline is really easy now in our Canvas apps. The other big announcements was related to Power Pages and some new Copilot capabilities. This is truly making it easier than ever to build enterprise-grade websites with Power Pages. So you're going to see an interface similar to what we have in Power Apps where we describe what we want to build with Copilot. So we can choose the type of site we want to build, and then we have the Copilot control with us in our Power Page along the way to do things like create a theme. So you can keep using the Copilot control to tweak your website. And another really cool thing they show with Power Pages Copilot is using generative AI to create content for your website. So you're trying to fill out a website and you need an About Us section, or you need a block of text about a product that you sell, whatever it might be, you can use generative AI natively inside of Power Pages to generate that content for you and even rewrite text and give you some suggestions. There's so many cool things going on in the world of AI and Copilots in the Power Platform. And finally, the last thing I wanted to highlight was some updates to the Power Up program. Now, this is a program that was actually launched at the Power Platform Conference last year, and its goal is to get more people into the Power Platform and get them certified so you can start building careers in low code with the Power Platform. And it's really focused on career switchers. So if you come from maybe a non-technical background, but you want to get into low code development, this program is aimed to you. It has some curriculum that you follow, and you get free training and the ability to take a Microsoft certification for the Power Platform. They announced some pretty staggering numbers for their first year of the program with 22,000 plus learners across 180 different countries. And the big thing that they announced at the conference was the ability to scale out this program for groups. So now instead of learning by yourself, you can actually learn and go through the curriculum of the program as a group. So if you want to roll out the Power Platform in your organization and you want to all go through that together, you can with Power Up for Groups. So just go to powerup.microsoft.com to apply. Needless to say, the Power Platform Conference was an amazing event with tons of new announcements and exciting things happening in the Power Platform space. Now, my favorite thing about these conferences is always meeting you all. So thank you to everyone that stopped by and said hi. I loved hearing all of your stories. Now, there's so many things happening in the Power Platform space with all these AI innovations, and it's changing rapidly. So I'll make sure to keep you all updated here on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.